Funding for this episode of Buzz is made possible by the Virginia Film Office. Virginia is for film lovers. And Partners in Financial Planning, a Southwest Virginia-based financial management firm, with additional support by the American Advertising Federation of Roanoke.
People don't realize just how bad it is on folks trying to go and get food. Because like a month ago, the food was $50. Now it's $75 and $100. Because if they don't get the free food, they're not going to be able to eat. And we have a lot of families that have children they come in crying because they don't have food.
They're not the rich and famous. Their profit comes not from the thing they sell, but the good they do. Our nation has more than 1.5 million nonprofits that employ 1 out of 10 Americans, providing services that otherwise go unfulfilled, keeping our community connected when all else fails. But nonprofits often lack the tools to properly promote themselves, to inspire more donors and volunteers and clients to their cause. That's where I come in. I've been in the nonprofit world for nearly 20 years. I connect nonprofits with marketing professionals who donate their time and expertise so that, at the end of the day, these life-giving organizations can do more, do better, by creating more. That's right, Buzz. For today's show, I'm going to start by throwing a bunch of numbers at you. 26, that's the number of counties in Virginia in which this nonprofit operates. 360, that's the number of partner agencies this nonprofit serves. 100,000, that's the number of individuals that this nonprofit feeds each month. And $30 million, that's the value of the food that this nonprofit provides each year. But there's one more number that's important, and that's 40. That's the number of years that Feeding Southwest Virginia has been in existence, and it's a number that we are celebrating on today's episode of Buzz.
Well, I'm Pamela Irvine, and I'm President and CEO of Feeding Southwest Virginia.
My name is Jim Pierman, and I'm currently the Chairman of the Board of Feeding Southwest Virginia.
Well, the scope of what we do here at Feeding Southwest Virginia is often misunderstood. First and foremost, it took me about 3 days to ride through all of our 26 county area so many years ago, looking at the communities, evaluating the community needs, and then talking to organizations that really wanted to make a difference and feed people.
We've had challenges, natural disasters, human disasters of not having enough money to do what we needed to do sometimes. And of course, in the last year, the face of COVID, the epidemic, which has affected not only our people, but all the volunteers that work in our agencies, and it's made it very challenging to continue to get food out.
A lot of people didn't understand. We were there with Virginia Tech during the tragedy. We were on site and provided all the meals for that week, partnering with the Salvation Army. And we've been hidden a lot of times. But I think this particular pandemic, because of the fact that people couldn't get groceries through their grocery store, began to realize that food isn't always available, and also as well as knowing that people are losing their jobs, so their hours are being cut back.
Well, it starts with our agencies. Every agency pretty much is made up of volunteers. That's hundreds, probably thousands of individuals that volunteer at individual pantries, churches, all different kinds of food distribution organizations.
They always say it takes a community to feed a community, and that's true. We started with 3 individuals. Now we have a little less than 50 staff and thousands of volunteers. It takes a board of directors that are passionate and engaged in the work that we do and really care about people. So it takes a lot of partner programs, 360 some, and donors, thousands of donors that help us. We couldn't do the work that we do without engaging every corporation, individual, and opportunity that we have within our service area.
I'd like to think that we'll end hunger over the next 40 years, but seeing how that hadn't happened in the last 2,000 years, it's probably unrealistic to think it's going to happen in the next 40 years. So we want to make sure that we're involved in being the most efficient and effective organization to continue to provide food to people in need.
As I was a young mother, my husband and I just were starting out. We only had $25 every 2 weeks to buy groceries. So I knew personally what it was like to struggle to put food on their table. And I think that was the passion. I think that's what has kept me and driven me to help reach all those people we can help. But every meal has a story, and I too had a story, and it took me a while to share mine.
As Feeding Southwest Virginia's first and only CEO, Pamela Irvine has given 40 years to the organization. Jim Pearman has been a volunteer board member the last 30 years. And there's another Pearman who has also spent decades touting the organization through his marketing agency here at Access Advertising.
So my second cousin, James Pearman, Jimmy, as my dad knew him when they were growing up, we're best friends, but Jimmy has been involved with the food bank now for 30 years. It's a passion of his, and me being in Roanoke and him being in Salem, we've had a chance to work together over the years, and I've done many projects for Feeding Southwest Virginia. And of course, it goes without saying, one of our other partners on this project is Amy Pearman, who is my wife, who is a commercial photographer in town that we're also working with. From time to time, they will ask us for help and support on a project, and from time to time, they'll have a paying project. Last year, we actually worked with them to redo their entire website, which was a significant lift. So we're always trying to partner with all of our nonprofit clients when they have budgets and when they don't. So there were some obvious things that we would consider during our discovery process. Video is probably the #1 tool that we use now these days to tell our stories. They're so impactful. They deliver so much more emotion than print typically can, and they can tell a larger story. So they need a newsletter, they need some things, they need event planning, they need this video, they needed still photography for their newsletter. They need all these things, which in terms of Feeding Southwest Virginia is pretty ambitious because they serve 26 counties. How can we even begin to show that? We're pulling off in this timeline a video that we'd probably normally charge $50,000 to do just because of all the logistics, all the time, VO, music, planning, editing, post-production, sound effects, all those types of things. We're putting it together in this very condensed format, which is great. And then doing all the other event planning, which will extend throughout. So even after this episode airs for Buzz, we'll be working with them for another 6 months to continue to do reveals and celebrations along throughout the year. If I've learned anything after now more than 30 years doing this for a living, there's never a destination, it's just a journey. It's always helping them recognize what they do, but the fact is that in their 41st year, Feeding Southwest Virginia will be doing just as important work as they were in their 39th or their 40th.
Just how much work? For that, we traveled from their headquarters in Salem, 120 miles southwest, to their other main distribution site in Abingdon, where each week volunteers arrive to pick up groceries that they then distribute back home. Volunteers like Pat Williams and her church from Tazewell County, some 2 hours away.
People don't realize just how bad it is on folks trying to go and get food. Because like a month ago, the food was $50, now it's $75, $100. Because if they don't get the free food, they're not going to be able to eat. And we have a lot of families that have children they come in crying because they don't have food. And we accept volunteers at our church if they want to come and help.
You're a volunteer.
I'm over it. I'm what my pastor calls a supervisor. I have to tell everybody what to do.
How many volunteers do you have working with you?
I have 14. And they come in and they help. Nothing. Just give them some vegetables and things and they're happy. Because they can't afford it. They're like me. They're on a fixed income. Because I lost my husband and I lost $700 income. And believe me, it's not easy. So, everybody that can, please help Feeding America because they really need it.
But Feeding Southwest Virginia isn't just in the business of giving out the proverbial fish. They're trying to teach folks how to fish, like here at the Community Solutions Center in Roanoke.
The Community Solutions Center is just that. It's a true effort started by the City of Roanoke, Roanoke Police Department, and Feeding Southwest Virginia in an effort to provide communities and systemic strategies to help the Northwest community in Roanoke, Virginia. One of the things we really focus on is providing meals and food for children across the city. Being able to come together in this building, utilizing staff, students that come into the programs, and then volunteers from the community to be able to prepare, cook, package meals that are distributed to about 30 sites across the city. These cohorts, the students in the cohorts actually leave with culinary skills. They have basic skills that are actually taught by one of the area's leading chefs. They'll have meal production skills so that when they go out into the community, into jobs, or even if they want to start their own business, they're able to understand what it takes to produce food for up to 500 people at a time. And then they also are able to take part in our community efforts. Since COVID, we actually distribute directly out of the center, so we no longer just pack it up and send it to different sites. We actually have the community members come to the center to be able to obtain food, which is so helpful for them when they have limited access, limited transportation. They can come right here to this hub and obtain food several days a week. And they'll be pulling up in just a moment just to be able to, we'll load their cars with those boxes. Today they'll get one large box of staples, which will include beans and oatmeals, their cereals, their grains, different, and their proteins, as well as then after that they're going to get an extra couple of boxes along with their gift bags today.
Let's just go from the top again.
Early on, when we understood the challenge for Feeding Southwest Virginia, we understood that we had to tell their story in a number of different ways. There are newsletters, there's prints, there's going to be events, traditional public relations, all these types of things, and that's great because that's as a full service agency we can do all those things. But we all know, especially in the last 3 to 5 years, that video is the number one tool to tell those stories. So we're going to try to create opportunities here to capture them doing what they do, to capture their people, to tell their stories not only in numbers but in human impact, and feature them, because those videos create so many opportunities for social media, for marketing, for promotions throughout the entire year.
When I would come into a scene like this, where we're at, first thing I want to do is show scale. I want to show the vastness of what we're looking at here. I mean, this warehouse it's hard to show visually, but that is one goal that we have, is to show the scale of any location that we're at, as well as getting to know people. Like, we can show the scale and the atmosphere all day long, but also want to get to know the person. I want to know the people that we're talking to, and I want our audience to get to know our people that we're talking to and interviewing. It connects you. It connects the audience to the story you're telling when you show the scale and you can have the interaction, the human interaction.
Everybody's happy to be here. Everybody's thankful, and that is the easiest story to tell. You know, when people want to be here and want to be photographed, I think that's awesome, and they're happy, you know, and that's a beautiful story. It's an easy story for me. I went to the back dock, and to loosen up the guys back there, you know, they all kind of shut down. They have a gate that they open and close to let the food out the pantry slot, and then they closed it, and then everybody kind of went down like this. And I said, "Where'd the party go? I just got here." And so everybody turned around to me and went, "Hey!" And so, you know, I really hope that, because it showed their energy and their joy, and they had a lot of food, and so you have an instant read on what they're doing. And I hope that image comes out great. You know, you never know when you're candid and working so fast. When I can bring energy to it with the story and the food and tell it all in one shot, that's my goal.
Welcome to Access Today. It seems like not that long ago that we all got together to talk about what your goals were for this project that we were going to do with Buzz. And as you guys like to say for your 30th anniversary, every meal has a story. And certainly there are lots of stories that we've told. I'd also like to say every project has a story, and this one has a pretty good story as well. From the day I called Jamie at Boss Motion Pictures and said, "I've got this great project. Would you be interested in helping?" And he said yes. And I said, "There's no budget." And he said yes, which is amazing because we're all independent contractors and we need the money. So it's a big deal for us, but it's a really big deal for Jamie to step in and help out. So all those types of contributions make a big difference. Amy Pierman at Boyd Pierman Photography also, who helped out on the shoot. So all those things come together, and all those stories are what make this story possible. And your story also, every nonprofit has a story, and your story is pretty amazing, especially your 40 years and your 30 years with an organization. I know boards that feel lucky when they have a chair that stays with them for 2 terms. And I know organizations that if they have a 10-year tenure with an executive director, they're blessed. So you guys are pretty amazing. So today, we're going to tell a little bit more about the stories that we learned, like driving to Abington in a whiteout, like going up to White Top in the freezing mist. We learned a lot, and we also learned how important these stories are. I can remember distinctly remembering how aggravated I was to get that drive-through meal at a McDonald's on my way up to White Top because I didn't have time for a good lunch. And to get up there and to see 40 people in cars in line for 3 hours to get food will be a real wake-up call for you. So we also learned some stories that we'll be retelling and learned a lot about what you do and how important it is. So with that, we're going to show you a video celebrating your 40th anniversary, and we hope you'll like it.
Every meal has a story. Whether it's a family recipe that's passed down for generations, learning to cook independently for the first time, or working to end hunger for those in your community. Food is so many things to so many different people, and everyone has a story to tell, including us. As we celebrate the 40th anniversary of Feeding Southwest Virginia, we want to share that story, a story retold on thousands of tables across our region.
There's so many people out there that do have to choose between their medications, their heat, and food.
1 in 8 people in Southwest Virginia struggles with food insecurity, meaning they don't always have access to food they need to lead active, healthy lives. When families face unthinkable choices, Feeding Southwest Virginia provides a safety net they can fall back on to keep food on the table. The impact of job loss, reduced hours, quarantine, and a myriad of other challenges are still being felt in many homes in our region as a result of the pandemic. Thankfully, we've been able to step in and step up on the front lines. But facing challenges is not new to us. We've been doing it for 40 years, from the flood of 1985 to the 2012 derecho.
Southwest Virginia was facing a lot of challenges with the downturn in the coal industry and other business decline, so it was already a challenge to get the food to people that need it. We've had challenges, natural disasters, human disasters of not having enough money to do what we needed to do sometimes. And of course, in the last year, the face of COVID, the epidemic, which has affected not only our people, but all the volunteers that work at our agencies, and it's made it very challenging to continue to get food out. People still are hungry, still need to eat.
But what has kept us going is our dedication, passion, hard work, and the right leadership.
What makes Pam special is her passion about the mission of feeding the hungry or people that are food insecure. She brings that passion to all around her, including me. I mean, it's keeps me going when things look dark sometimes. You know, we just have a faith that things are going to work out and kind of keep working at it, and they have worked out.
Pamela Irvin, our president and CEO, she has just been absolutely amazing, and she has such a passion for feeding the hungry. And her unwavering passion, it pushes us every single day, the whole team, to do the very best that we could do to feed the people.
Feeding Southwest Virginia helps in some of the most impoverished communities in the Commonwealth. Communities where resources are lacking, where people often feel forgotten, and where we're the only food opportunity that they have.
We serve 26 counties, 10 of the poorest in the state, with some of the highest food insecurity numbers, yet with probably the least amount of resources in the entire state.
We have so many rural areas that is practically inaccessible to people that are needy. They have to travel for miles and miles and miles to get some assistance sometimes.
It really helps me out a lot, and I pick up for several people that live near that are aged or don't have transportation or disabled, and it's really important to them.
It's a lot on that grocery bill.
We'd be lost without it, you know.
We work with other hunger relief partners to find new solutions, shorten the line, and find innovative ways to get food from where it's unwanted to where it's desperately needed.
I'm a social entrepreneur. We are always reinventing our organization based on relevancy in the communities we serve and the people we endeavor to reach. And that has kept me intrigued, but I'm very passionate about the work we do.
I'd like to think that we'll end hunger over the next 40 years, but seeing how that hadn't happened in the last 2,000 years, it's probably unrealistic to think it's going to happen in the next 40 years. So we want to make sure that we're involved in being the most efficient and effective organization to continue to provide food to people in need.
As we celebrate our 40th anniversary, we look back at our organization's accomplishments with gratitude for the efforts of our volunteers, the generosity of our donors, the vision of our founders and board, and the daily opportunity to serve.
My journey here has been so rewarding. I love coming into work every morning, and when I go home every afternoon, when I'm walking out that door, I know that I've done my very best for that day to help, and we're all a team.
First and foremost, we want to celebrate the hard work. We want to recognize individuals. I've always said this work is not for a Lone Ranger. It really is for everybody that's helped us every day, every step of the way.
Feeding Southwest Virginia has done a lot over the years, and as time has changed, so has our focus.
Well, the future's a little different. It's not getting more food to more people, even though we need to do that as well. We're using food as medicine, and because of that, we're working with healthcare partners. We want people to have the adequate, nutritious food they need to prevent or to help treat their illness. And then we have a mobile marketplace, where now we're diversifying our food streams, knowing that we have less donated food coming in. So we'll be able to provide SNAP recipients. They'll be able to purchase food from our mobile marketplace. Then we're also looking at other ways that we can reach individuals directly, serving them. Our Cafe to Grow, our foodie truck for children, being able to provide hot meals to children where they live, taking that truck into low-income communities. So we're looking at diverse ways that we can reach more people, not just provide more food, but to provide better food to improve their quality of life.
Feeding Southwest Virginia is making a difference in the daily lives of so many people across our region. As we celebrate our 40th anniversary, we invite you to be a part of our story.
Every meal has a story.
Every meal has a story.
Every meal have a story.
Every meal has a story.
Incredible work. Incredible work. We have a couple of other little items that we wanted to bring to the show to celebrate your 40th anniversary. And for that, I'm going to let this little video that I created make that happen.
Our first stop is here at the Noel C. Taylor Municipal Building for the City of Roanoke, the unofficial capital of Southwest Virginia. Follow me.
I'm Sherman Lee, Mayor of Roanoke, and on behalf of our City Council, I am proud to present Feeding Southwest Virginia, all of their staff, volunteers, board members, and community partners with this proclamation, congratulating them and thanking them for their 40 years of service fighting hunger in our region.
And lastly, here we are in front of the Wells Fargo Tower, one of the tallest buildings in Southwest Virginia, which is typically illuminated in white lights at night. But in the coming days, it's going to be illuminated in Feeding Southwest Virginia's colors of orange and green in celebration of its 40th anniversary. Thank you for all that you do fighting hunger in our communities.
You know, we look at the 40 years and we learn from it, right, and celebrate it, but we've got a lot more work to do. So it's inspiring today to be here and see all this generosity and the companies that have worked with us to make this happen.
The food bank is just a building. It's the people that make it special, and I think this is a tribute to all of them.
Our passion calls us and our purpose drives us. People inspire us. You know, I just see all that wrapped up in this film and in this project and in 40 years. But to see people open up generous hearts and give to others is life-changing. Not just for the people we feed.